Raygun is coming to Madison. Raygun is a Midwest-based unionized design and print shop with retail locations in cities across our region, and now Madison. They're opening on State Street this September at the former Paul's Bookstore location. Raygun is proud to support public media, public schools, public lands, and public restrooms. Shop and sign up for their newsletter at raygunsite.com and follow at Raygun Shirts everywhere for new product releases, plus grand opening information for their new location at 670 State Street in Madison. The Wondrous Water Lantern Festival is coming to Madison September 6th at Willow Island. If you're looking for a peaceful, uplifting evening, this will be an unforgettable night of community, hope, and thousands of lanterns lighting up the water. Gates open at 4:30 p.m., lantern launch starts at 7 p.m., and the festival will run until 8:30. Tickets are available now at waterlanternfestival.com, and don't wait because this event often sells out. Get your tickets, which include a lantern design kit, today at waterlanternfestival.com. This is CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Today on CityCast Madison. Welcome to the Friday News Roundup. We're talking city infrastructure and our city's built environment today. That's really the news of the week. So joining me to discuss is our executive producer, Haley Sperling. Hey, Haley.
Hi, Bianca.
And our newsletter editor, Rob Thomas. Hey, Rob.
Hey, Bianca.
I'm tempted to say, what's good? I ask every time, what's good? How are you guys doing?
Bricks, mortar, buildings.
Swing that hammer.
Streets.
Is that how you build buildings with a hammer? I'm a liberal arts major.
Yeah, sledgehammer. Yeah, I'm very much so with you. I'm kicking us off this week with the city's budget, because there's news there. Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway released her 2026 executive capital budget and 5-year capital improvement plan this Tuesday. She announced the news at the Coming Imagination Center site at Rindale Park, a project in the capital budget. So the capital budget is just one part of the full budget. The other part is the operational budget for city services, staffing, and programs, and that is coming next month. So the capital budget announced this week, it focuses on physical infrastructure. So our streets, our parks, our libraries, housing, the built environment of the city. Y'all, it's nothing like budget season. Am I right?
Oh my gosh. When are we not in budget season? It's either we're in budget season or we're talking about getting ready for budget season or we're decompressing from budget season.
1,000%.
Yeah, I mean, reporters love this time of year, right? This is like their Christmas because you find out what the priorities are, because you find out where the money's going or where the mayor wants it to go.
And it really is happening all year. And it's just we're about to make this budget a reality. So that's where we're at. Want to note the budget and the operations budget to come will be considered by, and in this order, the Finance Committee and then the Common Council, and then they adopt it in November. So there's already been 5 public engagement sessions, and the city says there'll be a few more opportunities for the public to weigh in. So if you want to get your thoughts and your input, that's totally still an opportunity. So we'll keep you updated on that. But I'm just going to go through a couple high-level takeaways from the mayor's capital budget. There's money allocated for street improvements, for park systems, money for reducing flooding and improving stormwater management, which we know we need, improvement to our bikeways, improvement for Safe Street Madison projects. So those are some priorities. Also, affordable housing. The budget contains $17.5 million for the Affordable Housing Fund and more investment in the city's Affordable Triangle redevelopment project, which we've been talking about on the show. So what's the total? Bum-ba-da-bum. $285.2 million in 2026 for our capital budget and $1.38 billion over the course of the capital improvement plan. So that's a piece of this where they're setting out projects for the next 5 years. So yeah. Apparently, this budget is $73.5 million lower than city agencies requested, which is interesting, citing the hope to keep our debt payments in check. Y'all, there are clearly some savings as a priority here, right? Savings is the word of the day.
I mean, Madison, we know that there are budget issues on the city and county level, but Madison is also super, super set on keeping its AAA bond rating, which means being able to borrow at better rates. And so having its debt payments in check has to be a big priority for that.
And I think they're probably not as reliant on federal money just because of what's going on now. They don't want to put anything in there that they can't actually rely on getting the money for.
Yeah, none of the federal money is real at this point, right? Like,
yeah. And we obviously had that influx of federal money during COVID, right? So that's also gone.
Right.
And then what's coming in the future, that's not so clear. According to the announcement, a guiding principle for her administration in this budget was selecting and identifying infrastructure projects that are going to bring cost savings down the line. They had an example in her announcement about a new streets facility on the far west side that will ultimately, after completion, save hundreds of hours of time traveling, time for, trash and recycling pickup. There's a lot of thought that goes into this, and there are, of course, tons of line items. If you want to go and look at each expense, you can. It's all public, that information, but too long didn't read. Every park and shelter, everything needs maintenance and upkeep. That was my big takeaway. Y'all, are you getting flashbacks for the budget season from last year and the tension and stress? Just like thinking about the budget, everything's kind of flooding back.
personally, I try to block that part of time out of my mind and just move forward. But yeah, I mean, you said it. Everyone needs something and no one has the money to do it. So it begins, the Hunger Games, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, budget time last year was so stressful, of course. Like, as a reminder, Madison taxpayers were asked to chip in a referendum, which they did vote for. The city asked for $22 million in a property tax referendum to get out of a crisis mode last November. That passed by 57%. An overarching picture of like why we're in these dire straits is because we're facing a structural deficit. The city's revenue has had trouble keeping up with our costs because of certain limitations that the state puts on municipalities like ours in terms of how we can raise funds, like which taxes we can levy. And then shared revenue, if you haven't heard about that, the state's shared revenue formula gives us back like cents on the dollar compared to what other cities are getting and what our city generates for the state. So the city's just been trying to figure out how to make it all work with the limitations we have around revenue. I will say transparency has been at the helm of this process. It was last year as well. For, looking to next year's budget for 2026, the city's already held 5 public meetings for input. I did see some reporting from WRT about one of the meetings, and it got pretty tense. The temperature was hot. Just people feeling really loudly about the needs around affordable housing and talking about billionaire developers coming into the city and changing the landscape and like, how is this helping all of us? There's just like a lot of heat. And I think part of it is because people are feeling the taxes, right? Like people are paying more this year. That is happening. And I think the folks just feel really passionately about, wanting to be involved in the city's development and making sure that it feels consistent with their values. Like I like to quote from Parks and Rec, Leslie Nopes. It's just like, they're just caring really loudly.
Madison loves to care loudly.
Yeah. So, hey, one thing I do want to kind of wrap this section up with is that the mayor said in a release, quote, "The city of Madison is financially healthy," unquote. So, it seems like they've got an optimistic picture. We're going to keep an eye out for that operations budget that's going to drop next month. But in the meantime, I think it's time to move forward. 3 cheers for the democratic process. Let's do 3 cheers. And bookkeeping. All right, let's carry on. We've got some somewhat seismic changes about how folks are using our downtown. Before we get to that, let's take a quick break. Hey, animal lovers! Your favorite team needs you to cheer them on at Bark and Wine Tailgate on Saturday, September 27th at Dane County Humane Society. From 3 to 6 p.m., join in the tailgate spirit with delicious food, refreshing drinks, tail-wagging games, a silent auction, and plenty of furry fun for a great cause. Plus, you'll get to meet some amazing animal greeters who will make the day unforgettable. Want more? Grab VIP pregame tickets to enjoy early access and other special perks. Can't wait for the event? The Donate to Vote Showdown is on. Every dollar you donate to cheer for your favorite animal team, cat, dog, wildlife, or critter, counts as 1 vote to crown this year's champion. Plus, your donation supports animals in our community. Last year, Team Cat clawed their way to the top, but who will win this tailgate rematch? That's up to you. Get your tickets today and start casting your votes now at giveshelter.org/BW. All right, we're back and we're downtown and it's seeing tumbleweeds, apparently.
Well, yeah, we've talked a lot on the podcast and in the Madison Minutes newsletter about the lack of housing, especially affordable housing, like you just mentioned, in the city these days. But we seem to be having a different problem when it comes to office space. I don't know if they could somehow work this out. But the Wisconsin State Journal reported this week that Madison's office rental market has contracted almost 10% in the last 5 years since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. According to data from Broadwing Advisors, which is based in Madison, Madison had 18.2 million square feet of leasable office space at the start of 2020. And 5 years later, that's down to 17.5 million square feet. And meanwhile, the vacancy rate for available office space has risen. In Madison, it was 11.2%. In 2021, now it's 16%. And downtown, it's not as vacant, but it's definitely gone up in recent years. I think it's about 14%. And so what's the culprit? I mean, look how people are working. Look at us. We're sitting around a table seeing each other in person for the first time this week, right?
Yep.
Everybody's moving to remote work and hybrid work. Companies are downsizing and using contractors. And those big honking office buildings and office spaces aren't as important as they were a decade ago. Like businesses are looking for these smaller, nicer offices that they can coax people in to do hybrid work together in. And as a result, developers are looking at those buildings and also looking at our housing market and saying, maybe there's a better use for this than an office building. Maybe housing should be here or something like that. So property owners are opting to demolish or renovate those buildings and for a different purpose that more closely fits what's going on in Madison and its needs. So I don't know, what do you guys, were you surprised about this or this track with what you're seeing and what our friends are seeing as they're working?
It doesn't surprise me because I was actually thinking about this driving here today, like the movie Office Space, like how much everything has changed, where it's like, yeah, everyone, you wake up and you go to the office. Like, I mean, of course there are different types of professions, but like the fact that malls are struggling, like that used to be like, we're going to the mall and now it's like a relic. The way that we're working has changed so much. I remember, 12 years ago being in a working space downtown. It was the first co-working space I'd ever seen. And they were throwing parties. I'm like, wow, this is so novel, like co-working. And now it's just like, can we get anyone back in the office?
Right.
I don't know. I struggle with this because I miss you guys, and it's strange. Zoom doesn't really do the trick.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are so many things going on here, right? Like, one thing that we haven't brought up, these buildings are ugly. Like, I'm sorry. Like, no one wants to go to work in these ugly buildings that just are not conducive to creativity or even truly, like, existence. They look sad outside, and I have to imagine it's not any better inside. So that would not encourage me to go to work. Also, yeah, I mean, we work remote 95% of the time, and it's very fun when we get together and we get to see each other in person. And I feel like that makes it more special. But no one is really dying to get into work to have a commute, I mean, we're going to be talking about it later. Commutes are about to get longer in Madison if you're going downtown. But, it's just not a high priority list, I feel like, for millennials and younger generations when it comes to a workplace culture is having an office space.
I think we'd be happy seeing each other 40 hours a week, even in a sad building. I think we would brighten it up somehow.
We make it better. I mean, we do get in trouble for laughing too loudly sometimes.
We do. Like, people are like, can you please shut the door? Like, shaking and upset because we're having so much fun. But it does make me think also quickly about Epic, how they build their buildings to be like, actually, you might want to sleep here. We got a chef, which is also another extreme.
The thing about Epic that is wild to me is that their work from home policies are just so completely opposite from where other companies are headed, because you're a freaking software company and yet you don't let your employees work from home. Like, they have literally, it's like single digit numbers of work from home days. It's nuts. But that's more of like that Google mindset of, it's kind of a trap, right? Because Epic, they do have, they pride themselves on their culinary specialties and their groundskeepers. And for what it's worth, they pay those employees really well. They get great benefits and they're doing really great work. But you're also expected to be there breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, and speaking of shiny, happy buildings, especially in the computer space, some UW-Madison students this week went to this brand spanking new building, Mortgage Hall, which was funded entirely by private donations. It's a $267 million, 343 square foot facility that's going to house the skyrocketing School of Computer, Data, and Information Sciences and become the hub of computer and data science studies, which are like the number one and number two most popular majors at the UW-Madison campus right now. And have you guys seen pictures of this building?
I've seen photos of it. I'm afraid to go inside. Like I'm not, this is how it used to be being because I went to UW and I was in the journalism school, which is right across the street from the business school, and as a journalism student, I was always so afraid to go into the business school. I was like, they're going to know I don't belong here. That's how I feel about this new building.
Well, I feel like they're trying to like make it a more welcoming, like human space and not make it be like, oh, it's the computer lab and what are you doing? And you don't know how to code. Get out of here sort of thing.
You're
it's
not
like,
a coder.
Right. It's like, get out of here. Learn to code.
Alexa's like, get out.
The door seal shut or whatever. Yeah. John and Tasha Morgridge, who are Badger alumni, donated $140 million to the project, and the other private donors, including our favorite Epic Systems. And like this building is like, it's 7 floors. It's got 13 classrooms. It's got this airy atrium called the Heart in the middle. It's got all these plants. And then my favorite detail was the auditorium, which was named by Epic. It's called Hello World. With the exclamation point and quotes. And it's like, that's the most epic thing ever, right?
Well, given that their massive auditorium is called Deep Space.
Right.
Yeah, they're building the brand for sure.
Exactly. It's like the auditorium is your AI assistant as you walk in. It's like your Siri or something. So I just think it's really interesting. Like, first of all, it's reflecting this growing demand for this kind of instruction at the UW-Madison campus, but it's also, I think they're trying to invite people in who you don't traditionally think of as computer science majors or data science majors as that grows, as that sector of the business and as of education grows. So I don't know, it looks pretty interesting to me.
There's some cool art in there, I saw.
Yeah.
And they're going to need to have us humanities type majors.
So
I think
true.
Journalism, does that fit into the humanities? It's letters for sure.
Or journalism is like within LNS. So
letters and science. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But you need them both. They really need to go together.
Let's work together.
Yeah. We had a show with an Iron Man, and he was a longtime former philosophy professor, Larry Shapiro, on campus. And he said he's writing a book about how applied science needs to have like humans in consideration. So yeah, it's on the mind, man. It's on the mind. We're going to leave this topic, though, behind, but stick on the theme of infrastructure, y'all, because there's more news. The city has some plans, as Haley mentioned, for our streets coming up that might impact your commute. Before we dive into that news, let's take a quick break. We're back, and people are going to be happy, upset, all of the things. Haley, you've got the story.
We are going to be feeling everything here in Madison this weekend. It is another busy one in Madtown. There's a couple parts to this story, but first things first, Iron Man. You guys are running, right? Rob, I know you're signed up.
I can't wait. I'm doing both of them. Yeah.
Bianca, I know you're ready to jump in the lake, right?
Ready to jump in the lake. Been practicing since spring.
Yeah. Yeah. So the annual showing of human strength and perseverance is happening this Saturday and Sunday all around Madison and in Dane County. On Saturday, it's the quote unquote shorter event, just a cool 70.3 mile triathlon. And then Sunday is the big shebang, 140.6 miles of quote, pure excitement, emotion, and spirit. Yeah, Bianca,
Sorry,
I know you're ready.
Laugh out loud over you. I mean, it truly is. Like, if you're ready to do 140 miles, I'm sure it is pure excitement.
It's we're not going to get into too deep of what it takes to be an Ironman because, we literally aired that podcast already earlier this week. Bianca, as you just mentioned, you spoke with Larry Shapiro, a former Ironman participant and a retired UW philosophy professor who talked about the mental fortitude that it takes to complete such a feat. I mean, I know he's working on a new book, but Bianca, Jessica, were there any major takeaways or anything that stuck with you from that conversation?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I don't want to give it away, but for those who haven't listened, go back and listen. I might genuinely return to that conversation like once a year because it's just useful. We're talking about maybe doing a run, Gilda's run. We signed up.
We're signed up.
We're thinking about like, how do you actually get your body to do things it's not used to? And you have to acclimate it. And to your question, Haley, about like what really stood out to me, I invited him on because he's the first person who ever, brought to my brain that there's a good chance we don't have free will, which is like your brain decides things before you're necessarily conscious of it. So like, did I choose that chocolate ice cream or was I always going to choose that chocolate ice cream? But I asked him about like, can you actually build mental strength? And he said, yeah, I think it's a really excellent question and that it's easy to build physical strength and see that and do kind of the incrementals, but mental strength is harder. And that's something I've been struggling, trying to figure out because I want to be an Iron Man, I guess, at some point. But yeah, I don't know. I'm getting into my mentals. So
I learned from that podcast that he listens to Wilco when he does an Iron Man. And I swear I've never come closer to running an Iron Man. I'm still pretty far, but that got me a little closer to like, I can listen to my Wilco playlist for 140 miles. Yeah.
You did come to mind. It was like an LCD sound system.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, hell, we're all going to.
I thought it had to be EDM for 140 miles. So that's nice to know you can have a little dad rock.
Yeah, he's got his dad rock and he's at his like rage bait podcast. He's like, it makes me run faster when I'm angry. And I'm like, that's also so smart. So put on something that makes you angry, if it's us or if it's someone else, right? You know, whatever works. So it's going to be an exciting weekend. Whether you're participating in the events or not, it is likely going to impact you. Several roads around town are going to be closed as part of the race route. These include the 200 block of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard over downtown. This has already been closed for the setup. And then this weekend, the right lane of northbound John Nolan Drive from East Lake Street to the Monona Terrace, along with East Lakeside Street, that is east of John Nolan Drive, Olin Turnville Court, and the Rimrock Road ramps to and from the Beltline are going to be impacted by this event. Some metro routes are also going to be impacted, resulting in detours. I know I just listed a lot of streets and whatnot, so we're going to have a link in our show note to the city's website with more specifics on that because it's a lot, and it is Saturday and Sunday. So I don't know, do you guys like Iron Man weekend? Like personally, I used to really hate it. It was the weekend that I was like, I feel like a slob. It was just such an opportunity for self-loathing for me. But now I find it kind of inspiring. Like, I don't know. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, like wasn't it last year some guy like finally crossed the finish line like 5 hours after everybody else? Do you remember that story? Like they had just about packed everything up and he finally crossed. I mean, so that's kind of inspiring. That. Yeah. My wife is a big time athlete and she likes to go and to volunteer and just sort of like help people as they cross the finish line. So that's really cool. So that like, the cheering and, if you're on the bike path and you see them whizzing by, I like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it also brings up for me like fall and school starting. And that's probably why I was like, we should talk to my old philosophy professor. But I would be on campus and then go over and kind of watch the competitors running on State Street and it is really inspiring. And you see like little kids on the sidelines and people rooting for people they love. And it is such an athletic feat that I think that, I don't know, it does. I'm proud that it happens here. So I'm glad that we're feeling good, that it's inspiring now and not getting us down.
Yeah, it's a cool communal moment. Like you mentioned, Rob, there's people that volunteer. It feels like, like New York City Marathon, like people just come out to watch the race and like cheer people on. And people in Madison do that. When I lived on State Street, I would see all these like hordes of people coming out with their signs and cowbells. And it's always funny to watch people try to cross the street while the race is happening. Thankfully, there are going to be like police escorts at certain places to make sure that traffic still flows smoothly. But again, expect delays. So exciting things happening this weekend. And in more street news, the rush hour lanes on Willie Street are set to be removed as part of a trial study starting next week. So the Madison Transportation Commission unanimously approved the measure in late August. And the city expects that rush hour lanes will be closed from September 9th until late October. This is according to reporting from Liam Barron over at the Isthmus. And these are the right lanes that open up from 7 to 8:30 a.m. on the westbound side of Willie Street and from 4 to 5:30 p.m. on the eastbound side. And of course, we know that this move was made in response to the multiple car crashes on Willie Street that have happened over the past decade that have resulted to damages to businesses such as Mother Fools, Ha Long Bay, Batch Bakehouse, and Change Boutique. The list goes on. And as though Liam noted in this article, though, only one of those crashes happened when rush hour lanes were open. So interesting to see that. But I know you guys have thoughts on this one. What's the initial gut reaction here?
Good.
Bianca said shut the whole street down.
No, I love Willie Street. I think I shared on a recent conversation of just like, why are people going so fast in the right lane? Why are so many people passing me when I'm in the left lane trying to go a little faster, but following the rules? And so many people, it felt dangerous. And I have, just like you guys, I'm sure, real emotional connections to Mother Fools. That was one of the first places I spent time at in Madison. Ha Long Bay is when I moved away, I was like, that is my soul. My heart lives in Ha Long Bay. So when you see any of these businesses, you see people mourning and having to look at a business destroyed and put back. Like it's too much. It's too much. I don't know if this is the exact right thing, but that's the reason it's a test.
Yeah, I'm curious because like you said, only one of the crashes happened during rush hour time. So is this more of like a cultural thing on Willie to be a little more mindful and not try and race around that one person who's trying to turn left in front of you and that sort of thing. So I'm not sure what they're actually going to be monitoring. I guess if there's no crashes, that's a good thing. But I know they're going to be out watching and taking data down. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, right? And it's a trial. So like we said, it'll start in September, go through late October. I'm curious to see what they think the results are. I'm really curious, I think, to see if people slow down, right? Because I think the speeds are a really big factor here. And yeah, the real winner here is people not getting towed out of those spots. As someone who has been towed out of those spots, I have to agree with that sentiment. Yeah, so shout out to people who park on Willie Street because things are going to get better for you guys. But yeah, we're going to do a whole podcast about this.
Yeah, and so if you have thoughts on this Willie Street test, which we know some of you do, that's why we're doing a show, what do you think about this move? Is this a step in the right direction? Are you skeptical like Rob, like, okay, but it's not during rush hour when this is happening? Let us know. Give us a call. Leave us a voicemail with your thoughts. Call in at 608-318-3367. And we'd love to play it on the show and get your questions answered, or at least your opinions responded to.
Yes, I know the chat has something to say on this one. Like all of my friends are already talking about this. I was really excited about it. I was like, yeah, this is smart. And so many of my friends are like, I hate this. So there are thoughts out there. And, there's another exciting event happening this weekend that I am super stoked for. It is our Neighbors exclusive hang. We are so excited to see everyone out and about this weekend. I think it's going to be a super duper fun day.
Yeah, we saw a few neighbors. I think we were at Magic Pride Festival a few weeks ago, and it was just so gratifying when people come and go, I'm a neighbor. And we were like, you're a neighbor.
Yay!
And we were just like, and to meet those people in real life and hear like, that they're listening and they're reading and they're supporting us. It's fantastic.
Yeah. One of them basically said that she heard us reading her call out while she was driving and had to pull over. She was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this is happening. And we feel the same way. And if, the event that we're doing is going to be a ton of fun. If you know, because you signed up and you're a neighbor. I can't wait to meet more of you this weekend. And if you want to get on these cool events because you're not a neighbor, you can. So join our Neighbors program, y'all. Go to membership.citycast.fm, sign up. It's $10 a month or $100 a year. pretty accessible. And what do you get access to? Cool perks like these kinds of events and our members-only newsletter, which is off the chain, keeps you updated. Plus, you'll be supporting our team of local journalists right here in Madison, trying to keep you updated. Again, that's membership.citycast.fm. And if you do join, tell us why. We love hearing from you and we love sharing it. All right, y'all, that's the Friday News Roundup. Thank you for joining me this week. As always, Haley Sperling.
Yay, in person. Bianca Martin, thank you.
Rob Thomas, thanks so much.
Thank you, Bianca.
That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, your host. We're produced by Jade Isiri Ramos, Lizzie Goldsmith, and Elizabeth Kama. Haley Sperling is our executive producer. Our theme music is by Carl Christensen. Additional music this week by Mooncrest, Lex Kipp, and DM from Triple Scoop Music via Getty Images. Rob Thomas is our newsletter editor. Don't forget, you can always get more news delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to Madison Minutes. And something else you shouldn't forget is you can support the show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. If you enjoyed today's show, think about sharing this podcast episode with a transportation nerd or a friend who really hates getting towed. All right, see you back here Monday morning with more news from around the city. Until then, have a great weekend.